everybody, welcome back to Andertons TV. We're doing an episode of Meet the Maker today. Lee Dovey is with me. Now Lee, you are the founder and master builder at PJD Guitars.
Yep.
I can see from the headstock here, established in 2010.
That's
so
correct, yeah.
13 years now.
I know,
wow.
It's been a while.
I know, so tell us how the whole PJD thing got started.
Yeah, so started the company 2010. That's when I lived in London, and it was literally me in a shed, as all good businesses start in a shed, don't they? I think. So yeah, it was literally just me and at the time a friend, just kind of having a play, having a mess around with different ideas. Always bought guitars, played guitars, modified them, changed the pickups, changed the bridge, changed the tuners. My friend was exactly the same. We said, how hard can it be to build a guitar? Here I am 13 hours late, 13 hours?
Yeah, time flies, man. 13 years
13
later.
years, yeah.
Yes, I can testify it is hard.
It's quite difficult, yeah.
What was your background then? Did you do were you sort of woodworking qualifications, or were you making furniture or anything like that?
No, just none of the above.
Just
no.
an experimenting...
Well, my dad was a carpenter and prop maker.
Right, okay.
So I guess, I learnt stuff from him. Although I didn't go into that industry, I did learn stuff from him, and I had the workshop at home, which was his. He passed away and had this workshop full of tools, which weirdly enough I was actually going to turn into a little recording studio. But then I thought, that's a lot of work.
And PJD was your dad's initials,
exactly,
right?
yeah.
Cool.
So,
well, look, I'm sure he'd have been amazed and super proud of what you're doing. Now, I met you probably about 3 years ago, I think, and it was just at the time where we weren't stocking PJD guitars. I'm not actually sure any retailers were. I think it was all like a direct thing.
pretty much, yeah.
And I know you'd been approached by 2 or 3 other brands to see if there was any appetite for expanding PJD into building guitars for other brands. And I know that was... You pursued that idea through the UK Guitar Builders kind of project, which sadly didn't really work out, and I know that's kind of gone now.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You and the other builders that were involved are all now back to doing their own thing again.
Yep.
So is it nice now to feel like you can just focus on doing the PJD thing with a smaller team?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've looked at doing that, and it was good while it lasted. Learned a lot of things, met a lot of cool, very talented people. It was great, but it made me, and certainly some of the other people we work with, realise that actually, a smaller team of people focusing on your own thing is exactly where I want to be.
So we're looking at some PJD standard series guitars today. It's quite a cool concept here. So the much higher end stuff that I guess you were probably doing, have been doing for most of PJD's sort of existence, is classed now as PJD Custom Shop.
Correct, yeah.
So that's where each customer or dealer can have quite a bit of input as to sort of how they want the guitar to be. They're using usually sort of super exotic woods and beautiful flames and stuff like that. We'll put some pictures on screen as we're sort of going through. And I suppose in the UK, I still think they're fairly good value, but you're not really talking, when you're talking about guitars like that, you're probably not a customer looking for value as such. You're just looking for the best that you can buy.
Yeah.
But on that value point, you have announced recently, I think just at the end of the summer, this idea of PJD Standard Series, which is all the shapes that you're known for, but in a much more limited set of options in terms of colours and pickups and stuff like that, as you would expect with a standard range. But some fairly amazing price points for, a British-made guitar, and it's a very high-quality British-made guitar. So we're going to have a little bit of a play, but talk us through the different shapes and the kind of the different options and the whole concept of standard.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for me personally in PJD, it's always been, I've always wanted to create a guitar that's affordable for musicians. Not just a super high-end, really out-of-reach, expensive guitar, which do have their place, and which is why we've separated the custom shop, where you can do that, and the standard range. So the standard range really does focus on our models that we already have, which is the St John.
Okay, let's do these at a time. So St John is like an offset kind of vibe. I noticed that you've got a new kind of armrest carve on here. They're all these open pore finishes.
Yes.
So again, traditionally when you're building a guitar, you'd take a piece of wood like this, you'd put some grain filler on it, you'd sand it down, get that smooth finish, stain it, and then gloss it. And there's a certain, what's the right word? Organic, sort of natural feeling by actually going, what if we don't do that? What if we just sand it and stain it? And I guess the other byproduct of that process is it's much faster and therefore much, saves quite a lot of money. But I love brands that do this kind of open pore finish on the body. I think it gives it a real texture and a ringiness as well. So this is called St John.
That's the St John, yeah.
Okay, so, and we'll talk about the options as well. What other shapes have we got?
So this is the York.
Wow.
And this is actually the York Standard Plus, and what makes it a plus is the tremolo.
Yeah.
So
the York is probably, I would say the York is arguably the most original shape. You can see there's DNA from probably a Les Paul Junior. There's DNA maybe even from a Telecaster.
Yep.
But it's equally, there's some other third bit of DNA that's unique as well. Really like that, so we'll have a bit of a play at that in a minute. What else we got?
that is the Carey that you've got there.
Carey's cool. Again, you can kind of see the where the inspiration from this has kind of come from, but there's some contemporary features on all of these. That sort of nice rounded off heel joint is good.
That's something we've actually,
the armrest.
all the contouring on these, so the standards we have made before, but they were very different in terms of construction. So they were ash body, they were chambered, but these are all now slab body, but they do feature the forearm, the belly cut, and the heel block as well, which is all.
The grain looks mahogany-ish. Is that?
Yeah.
What
So
have we got here?
So the wood is a biche. To look at it, it's got the same kind of pores that a piece of Brazilian mahogany would have.
It's got more the weight of Carina though, hasn't
it's
it? Because it's like
lightweight.
it's nothing. I don't think it's a coincidence. I've picked a couple of these up and they're like, oh, that's not very heavy, is it? And then you realise that's obviously a trait of the main body wood using, because none of these are, I mean, I'm completely guessing here, but these all feel like a sort of a low to medium weight Strat. They don't
Exactly.
They don't feel like the sort of typical weight of a Les Paul or anything like that. So that's done that one, and that one, and then we've got is that the Woodford?
This is the Woodford. So I think you can probably work out where the inspiration comes for this. But again, same wood, so a biche, some nice contouring on the
That's
back
lovely.
there, a little cutout here, belly carve, and yeah, obviously traditional HSS, also comes as SSS.
So four basic shapes then, yeah?
Yep.
Cool. So tell me about, as people will know who subscribe to this channel, I've been to some massive guitar factories over the last couple of months in Gibson, PRS and
Yep.
Fender. Hundreds of employees, mountains of wood, millions of dollars worth of machinery.
Yeah.
Tell us about, I've not been to your place. I think Pete has, hasn't he? But tell us about your place. What, sort of how many staff, what does it look and feel like?
So there's 6 of us,
Right.
so a really small team, and we're all building basically, apart from Matt.
So you got five of you building, and then Matt doing kind of sales and marketing and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah.
And what is it? When we went to the big factories, there was very much a sense that there were teams of people who would each do one particular part of the build process.
Yeah.
Do you follow a similar process at PJD, or could each person, if they wanted to, build a whole guitar start to finish? Or
So we've got, everyone has to kind of have 2 roles, just because if someone's off, then someone needs to jump onto something else. But there are kind of 2, I don't want to say master builders, because that sounds a bit, I don't know.
Well, that's a very British, modest thing to say, but I'm sure if it was any other brand, they would say master builders.
We know what we're doing. What's better than master?
Jedi.
Jedi builders.
Yeah, you're a Jedi builder, is that what you're saying?
Harry.
You're a wizard. Yeah. So we've got 2, I guess you would say, master builders. So me,
That's not you, though. Oh, it is you.
a guy called Josh Parkin. So he is like a bit of a genius and has built guitars for many years. Had his own company in Japan for a long time.
Cool.
Moved back and just so happened to be in York. He actually moved back to York at the time I moved up to York. So
cool.
He now works for PJD, and he does pickup building, guitar building, design, everything. So it's usually me and him who have got our heads together on a new design or a new pickup or something. So there's me and him, and then we've got Chris Mays, who is been with us for quite a while now. So he deals with all the sanding of all the guitars. Luke, who does all the fretting and is incredibly good at it.
The fretwork is something I think you notice when you first pick up a PJD guitar, particularly the way I think the way the ends of the frets are done in that sort of domed kind of. What is that process called? I can't remember. There's a name for the end of the fret.
Like spherical.
Spherical. I don't think that was the name I was. Maybe there isn't a name. I don't know. But it's a beautifully fretted instrument.
Hot dog fret ends.
There you are.
I don't know if that's actually the technical name.
That's a thing either. But okay, so that's Luke, and who's the 5th, 6th?
So we've got Lauren.
Right.
So Lauren does all of the assembly setups, and she's also since the start of this year started doing finishing.
Cool.
She's very, very good at it,
Yeah.
and quite a few of these finishes here will be done by her.
I love that it's such a small team. I kind of feel like there is a different vibe, a bit more personality maybe, where you've got so few people working on a factory. Presumably as well, each person there has quite a lot more input, their ideas for things they could change.
Absolutely.
Float to the top much easier than in a big corporation. Right. So price-wise or range-wise, regardless of the shape, if you do the basic standard model, so no trem, standard pickup configuration, these are $12.99, I think, aren't they?
That's correct, yeah, $12.99.
And then each model you can elect options within a certain so you can have a trem or non-trem. But one of the options that is, I think you've done really well, is this spray over. Now, the relic debate will rage on and on and on forever. And some people don't like, obviously, the artificial damage and things like that you get on a guitar. But this was a different vibe, wasn't it? This is essentially a guitar. Well, on this particular one, this would be a guitar that was finished in presumably a burst of some sort or some sort of brown, and it's the whole body, right? Is done.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then overlaid another stain over the top of that, which is the purple, or another spray rather over that. And then just hand rubbed down in certain places, just so that you can kind of see a bit, which I suppose emulates the relic-y thing, but there's no damage on here. But what I like is the more this is rubbed as a player, this burst colour or whatever colour you choose to have underneath will appear wherever.
Exactly. So we started it off for you, basically, and then you can add your own.
And what are the options on? Presumably, are all of the spray overs always a burst underneath?
It's always a 3TS underneath.
Right.
So you can get any colour that we do with the spray over option, and it is always the 3-tone sunburst underneath.
I mean, I think that looks cool, and to a certain extent, if you go back to. Yeah, I mean, it sort of harks back, I suppose, to a lot of those kind of hot-rodded Fender guitars that, would have originally been a two-tone burst of some sort.
Exactly, yeah.
And then, either Fender themselves have gone, let's try this new custom colour, but we'll just, rather than make a load of new guitars, we'll just spray over burst guitars. Or end users, customers did it themselves. And then they wear through and you see this other colour underneath. So it's kind of got an authentic vibe to it. But it's interesting because not everybody wants the damage, but I kind of feel people do quite. This is almost like I don't think using the term relic is the right thing to use for this, because it is just a different colour at the end of the day, isn't it? It just comes out with a sort of a different pattern underneath.
Exactly. It's more of a colour option as opposed to, do you want this relic? I know the bridge is aged.
Oh, I didn't spot that. So if you do the spray over as standard, you put like a sort of an aged.
Aged bridge, aged, and you can see the pick guard is kind of being off. But
okay, cool. That's cool. I like the pickup surround on that one. And this whole standard range, you either start at $12.99 for your base option, so something like that would be a $12.99 guitar. And then by the time you've gone, if you elected to have everything like tremolo, spray over, the whole thing, you go up to about $1,600, I think, don't you? Something like that. So the whole range is within that kind of 13 to sort of 1,600 kind of range. So it's not cheap if we're talking about what you could achieve if you'd gone to China or Indonesia or made a guitar. But it's amazing value for a guitar that's made either in UK or US if you compare that sort of level. And I think on the important bits, so again, the way the necks are fretted, the quality of the sanding and the CNCing and all that kind of stuff, it very much feels like a boutique pro-end expensive guitar. But I guess the way you've managed the production process of these, you can achieve some pretty amazing pricing. about the pickups? Because I know
Yeah.
in the earlier days of PJD, you were using third-party. All the hardware was third-party.
Yep.
I know now it's all Goto hardware, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Still Goto hardware.
But pickups-wise, you're winding your own stuff?
We're making our own pickups in-house. We decided to do this just because it gives us more control. You know, we know how we want our guitars to sound, so we think, well, let's make our own pickups because that is the voice of the guitar.
Yeah.
So, you know, we can build the perfect pickups for our guitars. So that's now what we're doing. So they all come with our own in-house, wound pickups.
How would you describe? You know, do you think they're, you know, typically are your humbuckers overwound, underwound? What's your vibe? Like, what do you like in terms of sounds?
I think so. What we've gone for with most of the standards is a very kind of one size fits all. So you can play jazz, blues,
right,
heavy.
So you're looking for sort of versatility, are you?
Exactly. That's the whole point of the standards. So they are versatile, you know, and that's what we've gone for with these pickups.
Cool.
So they're very kind of one size fits all, and they'll work for most of the stuff you want to do.
Now, you do see the odd PJD guitar popping up on stages, but artist-wise, who have you been most excited to work with in terms of, you know, pro players?
Well, I think certainly for me and Matt as well, working with Graham Coxon,
Obviously.
Yeah. Has been kind of pretty massive for us just because, you know, it was totally random how I contacted him.
Yeah.
He's a super nice guy and he's into his guitars and
he likes to support British builders as well.
He does, yeah, because I know he plays quite a few British guitars, so we were lucky enough to, you know, get the opportunity to send him a guitar. He loved it, played it on the tour that they've recently done, so we got some very cool images of that, and having grown up listening to Blur, it was pretty amazing, to be honest. So
and again, in terms of just variety of artists as well, is Lee Malia using PJD from time to time?
Exactly. So Lee has a St John actually, but a custom shop St John, which he's been playing. So yeah, exactly, like two separate ends of the spectrum there in terms of, you know, music styles. But that's been amazing for us. You know, Lee decided we've not got signature artists as such,
no,
but just the fact that they play our guitars and enjoy them is, you know, that's kind of what it's all about, really.
Awesome.
We've got a band called the Lottery Winners, who are really amazing. They're doing incredible things at the minute. #1 album. They've got like 3 of our guitars.
Cool.
They've been very supportive of what we've done.
The irony of the fact you actually don't need to be a lottery winner to afford one of these, but you know.
Exactly. I mean, it would be nice, wouldn't it? To win the lottery.
You wouldn't see me for dust, I'm telling you. Lee, these shops locked up today. What's happening?
I've gone to Mexico for a long time. So we've got Mike Van Aert, who was in a band called Ocean Size. He's also more recently been with Biffy Clyro as their kind of session player, I guess. Obviously, you know, Biffy being as big as they are, they want their sound to be huge, so they've got Mike who's backing it all up, which is, you know...
If you could have one guitar player, alive or dead, that, you know, would phone you up and go, oh, you know, can you send us a PJD guitar to use? Who would that be?
Dave Grohl.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Wow, good for you.
Because he's just, he's Dave Grohl, isn't he? You know?
Well, there you are, Dave. If you're watching, I mean, I'm not entirely sure Lee could afford to outbid whatever deal you're on with Gibson.
It's not about that, Dave. It's not about that. It's not about the money now.
Support a little British guitar building brand. Get in touch. That's cool, man.
Could you put my number there? Call me now.
I love the foo. Look, what's next for you guys? Because obviously, 2023 has been obviously a refocusing after the UKGB thing. But I'm sure you've got ideas and plans for 24 and onwards. What is coming?
So I think for end of this year and next year, we're going to be focusing on obviously the standards and expanding the range. So offering different options, like different woods for the body. So we're going to do an older version. That'll be with a high gloss finish or a satin finish. Some various different options like different fretboards, different pickup configurations, possibly adding a new shape to the standard lineup, and then focusing on the custom shop stuff.
Well, thank you very much for coming down, showing us the standard stuff, talking about the little bit of history on PJD. If you want to try a PJD guitar, you can get yourself down to Andertons. We've got decent selection of standard series plus the odd custom shop as well. Maybe you've got an idea to build your own custom shop and we can help you put that together. We're not the only retailer in the UK you can try these in. I think you're making progress around the world now as well, aren't you, with dealers in other countries?
Yep.
But yeah, look, thanks to Lee for coming down. Thanks to Pete as well for doing some playing throughout this video. I really like these. I mean, that sort of £1,000 to £1,500 price point has always been, as a player, you can either go full on bells and whistles, Far Eastern made, or you can go, slightly more simplistic, British or American made. And I think in that British and American made kind of simplistic category, these stand up incredibly well. I mean, I said, I love lightweight, I like the open grain thing. The neck feels like a very expensive guitar. If you're a guitar fan, maybe you want to add a PJD to your collection. But yes, come down to Andertons and try one out. But thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.